So now let's have some mixed practice of how to factor a polynomial. So here's a general factoring strategy. So number one, you want to factor out the greatest common factor. 2, you need to determine the number of terms in a polynomial, right? Remember, the only ones you really have to memorize are these two, but otherwise you want to find the factors of AC that add up to B if it's a trinomial, right? Or if there's 4 or more terms, you should factor by grouping. Then you also need to determine if any other factors can be pulled out of a single polynomial, and check your answers by multiplying everything back together. So here's a generalized strategy. So why don't we do a few examples? Let's say I have 9p plus 45. Well, the greatest common factor of 9 and 45 is 45. No, it's not. It's 9. So that's going to give me 9 times p plus 5. For this next one, I have that the greatest common factor of 4 and 8 is 4. The greatest common factor of x squared and x is x. And the greatest common factor of y squared and y is y. So the greatest common factor of the entire term is 4xy. So I pull out a factor of 4xy. 4xy times what gets me back to 8x squared y squared. That's going to be 2xy. And 4xy times 1 gives me 4xy. Next, I have a plus b, 5x times minus y times a minus 5x times a plus b minus y times a plus b. This is going to be their greatest common factor. So I collect what they don't have in common and multiply it by what's remaining. Next, I have 16x squared minus 9y squared. Okay, this is a difference of perfect squares. I've got 4x and 3y squared. This is going to factor into a perfect a sum and a difference. So I'm going to have 4x minus 3y times 4x plus 3y. Next, I have 8 cubed minus 27. This is a perfect cube. I'm going to have to use my cube rules. So that looks like a cubed minus b cubed. Here my a is 2x and my b is 3. So this is going to be a minus b, which would give me 2x minus 3 times 4x squared minus plus 6x plus 9. Okay, let's try that again. I've got 1000y cubed plus 1. Well, 1 is a perfect cube, right? 1 cubed is 1. Here I've got 10y cubed. I'm going to factor this into 10y minus 1 times 100y squared plus 10y plus 1. Next, I have 25m squared plus 121. So this is a sum of 2 squares. And if you look back, we don't have a rule for the sum of 2 squares. We only have a rule for the difference. So I would have to say, okay, what are the factors of 25 and negative 125 that would add up to 0, right? But this is going to give me a positive number. It's going to be a positive number. And I can't think of any 2 factors of a positive number that would cancel each other out. So this is prime. Next, I have x squared plus 10. Let's make that an x. Plus 25. So I'm going to find the factors of AC that add up to B. Well, that's going to be 5 times 5 and 5. Here I have a is 1, right? So I can write this as a plus 5 times x plus 5 times x plus 5. That gives me x plus 5 squared. Next I have 49x squared minus 42x plus 9. 42x squared minus 42x plus 9. All right, this is of the form a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So here I have a is 79. A is 7x and b is 3. And I can check, okay, what is 2 times a times b? Well, that'd be 2 times 3 times 7x, which would give me 6 times 7x, which is 42x. So this can factor into 7x minus 3 squared. Let's go ahead and check our answer. That gives me 49x squared minus 21x minus 21x plus 9. You'll see I'll get back to 49x squared minus 42x plus 9. Let's go ahead and change colors. I've got y squared minus 5y minus 6. So what are some factors of negative 6 that add up to negative 5? Well, that's going to be negative 6 times 1. So I can rewrite this as x minus 6 times y minus 6 times y plus 1, because our leading coefficient is 1. Next I have 2x squared minus x minus 6. AC is 2 times negative 6. That adds up to negative 12. What are some factors of negative 12 that add up to negative 1? How about negative 4 times 3? So I've got 2x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 6. And I couldn't use this little shortcut because a doesn't equal 1. I've got to factor by grouping. So I have 2x times x minus 2 plus 3 times x minus 2. I did this correctly because both these are the same. Collect my greatest common factors. 2x plus 3 times x minus 2. So for this next example, I have 28x squared plus 6x minus 10. And I can see that they all have a greatest common factor of 2 in common. I'm going to pull out that 2. So I get 14x squared plus 3x minus 5. Now I need to find the factors of AC that add up to B. So what are some factors of negative 70 that add up to 3? How about negative 7 times 10? Because negative 7 plus 10 is 3. So 2 times 14x squared plus 10x minus 7x minus 5. I can then factor by grouping. I have 2. 14x plus times 10x, their greatest common factor is going to be a 2x. So I have 7x plus 5. The greatest common factor of negative 7x and negative 5 is negative 1. So I then collect what they have in common, right? So this is going to equal 2, because we can't forget that greatest common factor that we factored out, times 2x minus 1 times 7x plus 5. All right, these last two examples, they each have 4 terms, so we're going to have to continue to factor by grouping. The greatest common factor of xy squared and y cubed is y squared. The greatest common factor of x cubed and x squared y is x squared. So I get y squared plus x squared. This is the sum of 2 perfect squares, so I can't simplify it anymore. And I've got x minus y. All right, next example, I have 20x cubed plus 4x minus 45x minus 9. We have to factor by grouping. The greatest common factor of 20x cubed and 4x squared is 4x squared. That gives me 5x plus 1. The greatest common factor of negative 45 and negative 9 is negative 9 times 5x plus 1. Collect what they had in common. And we have fully factored this 4-term polynomial.